Okay, what's going on, guys? We're finally here. I wanted to review, like at least like talk about, for like 5, 6 minutes the other movies to kind of show you guys that I have seen them that I don't talk about. Now we're gonna talk about Scream Five. This might be a while, so we're gonna go scene by scene, and I just have a lot of issues with this movie. I'm gonna say that right up front. Full spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie, you should watch the movie, right? Um, so you can voice your own opinion. I am not I know film is subjective, and I know what they're going for in this movie. It just doesn't land for me. It doesn't work for me. I think they're trying to be too cute. They're trying to like be well. See, we told you. Like the first Scream had how much has great meta, but it was also a great movie. Like you can watch that and not even think about the meta stuff, and just it's a great slasher movie. It's a great whodunit movie. This movie is not that whatsoever. Like the first one's clever. This one's not clever at all, in my opinion. Again, very predictable, very just ugh, so annoying. And so we'll start. The opening scene with Tara. Roger L. Jackson was great, though, by the way. Roger L. Jackson, so good as Ghostface. He's amazing as the voice of Ghostface, as always. He's always like top notch. But the movie starts, and it's just very confusing. I like the opening scene with Tara and the technology somehow. I don't know how they can control her house, but whatever, right? And Tara, it's like she survives with which, it's definitely different. Pretty obvious, that was kind of spoiled in the trailer. Thanks. We appreciate that. Spoiled a lot of things in the trailer. We will get there. Um, so she survives, right? And then the next thing we go Richie, and then we got Sam, and I I don't want to hate on this girl. I think Jenna Ortega as Tara was my favorite character in the whole movie. Melissa Barrera as Sam was I I thought she was very wooden. I thought her acting. I thought she was overacting a lot. In the monologue that I'll talk about in a minute. I thought she was really over the top, and it just not subtle. Again, it's hard to replace a legend. Like you're replacing the greatest final girl ever in Cindy Prescott. Like, or at least they're trying to do that. I don't know how I feel about that, but um, so she's talking to Richie, and she gets a phone call from Wes Hicks, and Wes is like, "Hey, your sister got attacked. She's in the hospital." So Sam's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go back," and her boyfriend's like, "Oh, I'm going with you." Okay, whatever. So then they go back, and they're on their way, and he's like, "Oh, I've never seen the Stab movies, which I've never even heard of them," which which should be a red flag to everybody. Like, how have you not seen a movie that was based on or at least heard of it? Like, that's just silly, bro. Come on now, So then we get there, and we have some scenes between the kids. A lot of these were forgettable. Cal Gallner as Vince was just kind of thrown in, and we'll not talk about his character. I just think what happened to him and what they did to another legacy character is very disrespectful. Not Dewey, he was also disrespected, but so then they go and Sam, if I remember correct, because I've only seen it once. Sam and Richie go to the hospital and they talk to Tara, and she tells her that she was up in the attic. She was 13, reading her mom's diary, which we never meet the mom, which is like she becomes a central plot point in this movie. Not even in the movie. Like she's not dead like Maureen Prescott was dead in the original Scream. Like she couldn't be in the movie because she was gone, right? But we knew about Cindy's conflict. But like they want to give Sam a big defining thing, and it's just not there, you know. And so it's like so he tells her, "I'm the daughter of Billy Loomis." Okay, I mean, look, I understand because him and Cindy weren't doing that. They weren't having sex. So it could make sense that he would go off and do it with somebody else, I guess. But it's just like in 3 where they've just kind of slid Roman in and they were like, "Oh yeah, Roman was there. he met her, and she was in Hollywood. It's the same thing as this one. Like, oh yeah, Billy was sleeping around and he had a kid that he never knew about. I guess it's like don't try to retcon the first one. That's the same thing as three did, but no one's mad about this, but they're mad about three. It's the same thing. Like it's the same. Okay, and then a big surprise, you see visions of Skeet Ulrich, which I know they didn't have the best budget. The people that say that the de aging is right on 96, have you watched the 96 movie anytime recently? Like, it just looked silly. It looked really silly what they tried to do. Like, him being in the movie and him kind of following around, like, it was just weird, dude. It was just weird, right? And then Sam gets a call from, and it's Sam gets a call, and it says from Amber. Like, that's just another clue. Like, they're just making it blatant obvious that it was Amber. And then, so she gets a call, and then she gets attacked by Richie because spoiler alert, Richie and Amber are the killers. Very, very, very. Oh, it's a hard thing to figure out. And his excuse when he's talking to Sheriff Judy Hicks, because Judy Hicks is now the sheriff. Um, I was watching Netflix. Right, sure, I guess. So they kind of reconvene, and oh sorry, and Sam and Richie go to Dewey, and they tell her, and they tell Dewey, hey, I'm the daughter of, yada yada yada. I'm the daughter of Billy Loomis. Cool, whatever, And then he had also called Sydney, and he texted Gail as well to tell them that Ghostface is back. And Kyle Gallner confronts, because him and Liv, well, one of the other characters in the movie, had like a fling, I guess, and she's dating Chad, who is Randy's nephew. Okay, and his character, like gets killed out just real quick, stabs him in the neck. He's done. And then so they meet up with Dewey, and like Dewey's like, all right, like whatever, like get out. He calls out Richie as the killer, which obviously, right? And then so they're okay, and then they all go to Chad and Mindy, who's Chad's sister and Randy's niece, house, and you see Heather Mazzarato as their mom. Okay, cool. And she has like a monologue about Rickles and stuff, and people were praising her. I thought she was fine, but like really over the top. Like Randy was so subtle. Randy was so subtle, and so go, go. No, not over the top, And I just thought she was a little over the top for my liking, right? And then in this scene, you see something that just really frustrated me. So they had killed off Vince, and my favorite kill in the franchise is probably Stu, right? And there was a throwaway line. I couldn't believe this when I heard this. There was a throwaway line where they said, "Oh, Vince. His mom was like, I don't know, like Lisa Mocker or something like that. Stu's sister. So he was Stu's nephew. So they just ceremoniously killed off Stu's nephew. Like, you get Billy in this whole movie. Like, I don't know how people think. Like, I like Billy from the first one. Stu is my favorite character in the original, other than Sydney. And Sydney, Randy, and Stu. Like, Stu is a standout. Like, Matthew Lillard's performance is legendary compared to Skeet Ulrich. I like Skeet. He's cool. But like, I I just think it's silly, and I think it's very disrespectful to Stu, in my opinion. Dude got nothing in this movie. He just kind of got shit on. Like, yeah, yeah, he was the nephew, and we just killed him. He's just done, right? So then we get the scene where Judy and Wes die. This frustrated me too. I'm in a group, and this guy had a great point where killer calls her, excuse me, and he says, "Oh, have you ever seen Psycho? Your kid's in the shower." So she's turning around, right? I need a trace, and she goes on the radio and says, "Hey, everyone converge on my house." Drives there, gets there. Ghostface surprised her. That was cool, right? He surprised her. He comes out, he stabs her. Like whatever. And then Wes comes downstairs, gets out of the shower, gets dressed, comes downstairs, sets everything out. There's a lot of fake outs where you think, oh, is he behind this? Oh, is he behind this? Which was cool. It was awesome. Goes to the door, doesn't sees the door open, doesn't open the door, shuts the door. Ghostface is right there. Ghostface stabs him. Whatever, stabs him in the neck. They said, oh, it's gruesome. It was fine. It was cool. I'm with the. What was the point of having her call in backup if they're just not going to show up? Like I would have loved if they could have had the only reason that they had Wes in this in this movie is to kill him off so they could have a party for Wes. This was always for Wes. I love Wes Craven. This is very unnecessary. Like you did all that just so you could do just so you could have a party that said for Wes, for Wes, for Wes. I think you disrespected Wes's memory with this movie, but that's just me, right? Whatever. Okay, so after the Judy thing, Sam sees the cops that are from the hospital and says, "Who's watching my sister?" And she's like, "Oh my god!" So Dewey is like, "Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go with you. Let's go." Okay, cool. They get in the car. They go, and of course, there's no hospital staff that works at this hospital. Obviously, right? There's literally no one. There's one guard there. And there's no nurses that are working during the day. There's no doctors that are working during the day. There's nobody, right? Because the lights get turned off and Tara's going around by herself, and Richie shows up. Now, as we know, I'm sorry, spoiler. Richie's one of the killers, right? So it's a classic. Well, he's gonna get stabbed like Derek. Like, where's the ingenuity? Like, where's the anyway? Whatever. And the killer calls Sam and is like, "Hey, who's gonna die? You have to pick one, right?" Okay, so we know that Richie is not in the Ghostface mask, so that is Amber, Mikey Madison. Just keep that in mind. So they come up and Dewey engages with Ghostface, right? Struggling. We'll get to it, right? Struggling, and they get into it, and he throws her against because we know it's Amber, the thing, and she falls down, right? And they grab Tara and Richie, and Dewey go to the thing, and Dewey's like, "Oh, even though I was right next to him and I could have shot him in the head, let me just go back now because that's what I got to do, right?" Okay, whatever. And the guy who survived 4 Ghostface killings just strolls back, no problem. Got a gun trained on him, and his phone rings. And I guess he looks away from what I remember, but like that is so not Dewey's character. Like he's not dumb like that. He is not gonna get like he's seen this shit before. He's just like Sydney. He's been through this shit. Like I thought it was so disrespectful how they killed him and how they had Amber kill him. Amber. Mikey Madison, I'm sorry, but I have to be a realist. Like you have to have okay, I know it's a movie and you're asking me to suspend my disbelief. Totally get that, right? But you're asking me to believe that a 5'2" girl who weighs probably 120 pounds is gonna outmuscle and outwit David Arquette, who has 15 years. I'm sorry, Dewey, obviously played by David Arquette, who has 15 years plus of experience as a policeman. Is 5'10", 5'11", is 220 pounds, 30 pounds. So he outweighs her by 100 pounds. He's 8 inches taller than her. I'm sorry, you're asking me to believe that she is going to kill him. I'm 6'1", right? If a little girl like that tried to come at me with a knife, I'd probably break her wrist and then snap her neck. Like, it wouldn't happen. It would never happen. I'm sorry. That's not me trying to be sexist. I know there's guys on the internet that are defending the movie, and again, if you like the movie, I totally get it. It's not sexist whatsoever, man. A little girl like that ain't doing nothing against someone because Dewey sees it coming and he still struggles. That doesn't make any sense. He should be able to take her and slam her against the wall, and then I would take her head and I keep slamming it against the wall. I'm so like, adrenaline is gonna kick in, and Dewey would overpower her 1,000 times out of 1,000. I'm sorry. Don't tell me he's an old man. He's 50 years old. That's not old. That's not old. Not 70, 80, 90 years old. I don't want to hear that he's an old man. He's 50. He's a 50-year-old man. Like, I just don't want to hear that. Don't tell me he's been stabbed 9 times. It's been 10 years. Those wounds have had plenty of time to heal. He's fine. But he has nerve to stop. He's 5'2", 120 pounds. Like, it. So anyway, so his phone goes off and she jumps up, and for some reason he gets distracted, and she stabs him once in the back, once in the front, pulls up, and he dies. And they did it because they wanted to kill a legacy character. I get it. It was done horribly. It was done really bad. If that was again, if you could have swapped that, right, and for some reason Jack Quaid said he couldn't be there, right, and it was Mikey Madison that showed up, and it was like, oh, Amber, and Jack Quaid is the one, you reverse it. I honestly, I would have had no problem because he's 6'1", probably 220. Like, it just would have it would have made so much more sense if it was Richie that I killed Dewey. Because I'm sorry, like, he's just not getting beat by some little girl. She is a little girl. She's 5'2", 5'2", and anyway, to continue, Sydney just shows up randomly, I guess. Like, okay, hey Sydney, what's going on? Like, like Gail's all distraught. Melissa Barrera says, "I'm leaving. I don't like you." First of all, show some respect. Second of all, I hate him. I hated Melissa Barrera's acting, and she's just, in my opinion, she was not good. But anyway, so I guess Cindy puts a tracker like on her car. Sure, I don't know how that works. I don't know if she got those from Mark and Kate. I'm assuming because they asked how's Mark. She said good. So I'm assuming that's Mark and Kate from Scream 3, which is just cool. Wonder if we're gonna see Patrick Dempsey show up. That would be interesting. So anyway, and so and then Tara says, which it's very convenient. It was like a MacGuffin. Oh, I need my inhaler. And it's revealed later that Jack Quaid had the inhaler in his pocket. So it's revealed that he has the inhaler. So she's like, "Oh, I have a spare at Amber's. Oh, how convenient! Amber's having a party. Well, what a convenience." Okay, so at the party, Liv and Chad are, I like making out. She's like, "Hey, you want to have sex?" And he's like, "You might be the killer." So she tells him to go fuck himself, which is okay, whatever. You want to be a snotty girl, like whatever. I don't care. And then Chad goes out because he's worried about his girlfriend and gets attacked. Okay, I guess he doesn't die because they like pull up and see Amber attacking him because it was obviously Amber because Richie was in the car with them, Amber does a lot of the heavy lifting in this movie, which doesn't really make sense. So anyway, whatever. Um, it's very frustrating. So they go and they say, okay, everybody leave, which should be a red flag to everybody. Like, wait, just because these people showed up, now you want everyone to leave? Oh, okay, whatever, I guess. And they're going around talking about, oh, where's this guy? Where's this? And Amber just comes out and says, yeah, I'm the killer. Shoots Liv in the head, kills her automatically. Uh, okay, and then stupid scene. And then Sydney and Gail show up, and they both have guns. And they go out, and Amber's like, "Oh God!" She's holding her stomach, and they're like, "Oh, it's a trap! It's a trap!" So she's like, "F this," and she shoots, and Amber's like, "Oh, F this," and she shoots her in the stomach. Uh, okay. Sydney comes in, and she's kind of looking around. Where's everybody? Where's everybody? And I'm assuming, because Ghostface calls her, I'm assuming that this is Jack Quaid, and she's shooting all the doors, and then at the end she's like, I'm bored. She hangs up and go, and he says, wait, and then she shoots into the bathroom, and she shoots Jack Quaid in the leg. Again, I'm assuming that that was him that was on the phone. Comes out, Amber comes out with the Ghostface costume on, knocks down everybody, and Sam gets the gun, and then Richie comes out and he stabs her and says, but it was me. Okay, whatever. The ending we need to talk about, because the motives, I'm sorry, because the theme that because the filmmakers want you to think that they're so smart. We're gonna comment on toxic fandom, because fans are so toxic. Because if you don't make a movie that the fans like, then they're toxic. I don't agree with that whatsoever. I don't. You can dislike a movie and it doesn't make you toxic. Are there people that do some weird shit? Yes, like sending death threats and doing all that weird shit. That's okay if that's what you're trying to comment on. But don't tell me because we don't like a movie that we're toxic. I'm sorry. Like your motive is we want to make we think the stab movie sucks, so we want to make a better stab movie. And they're both like that. They're both the same character, right? Let's take a look at some of the other characters, right? And I'm sorry. So Billy wants to kill Sydney because he blames Sydney. Like all these characters are obviously psycho, right? But he has manifested in his mind it's Sydney's fault that his mom left. I want to hold some culpability to his dad. His dad shouldn't have cheated on his mom. But whatever. He has pinpointed Sydney and her mom, and he kills her mom. And he frames Cotton Weir, right? And he says Sydney has to die. She is the one that I'm going to die. I'm going to torture her. I'm going to kill her. And Stu goes along with it. He's his best friend, and he's just psycho, like Stu, but like obviously Billy is the mastermind. Okay, makes sense. Even though 3 would say that Roman, but no, like Billy was the mastermind. He did all the calls. He did all that, right? In 2, it's Mrs. Loomis that is the mastermind, and Mickey just wants to blame the movies. He wants to get caught. He wants to do all the crazy shit. He did a lot of the heavy lifting. Billy's mom wants revenge because Sydney killed her son. Totally understandable. It's a motive. Like, is revenge right? No, but she's crazy, just like her son, right? Said in the movie, Scream 3, Roman. He's insane. He lost his mind because he never got that love from his mother. I believe that. I understand that. Scream 4, Jill. I like I talked about in my last video, right? Jill. I don't mind her motive. Like she grew up and like listen, it is a movie you got to suspend your disbelief. And then Charlie was just in love with Jill and he just wanted attention. So Jill gave him attention and he did whatever she asked him to do. Like Charlie does a lot of the heavy lifting in that movie. Okay, so now that we've reviewed those, both the killers, there's no mastermind here. They have the same motive. They have the same stupid, make a good stab movie, so we're gonna do it. First of all, nobody there has to be some sort like I could see somebody if something happened to them involving one of their parents and they went crazy and they killed somebody. That has happened in the real world. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody has killed somebody because Hollywood doesn't make any good of this movie anymore. So we're gonna kill people so they have good material, make a good movie. That's never happened. Ever. The other four things have happened in the real world, I bet, one time or another. This has never happened. Like Radio Silence, I don't understand where you thought this would be like clever. Like why you thought and you're like, well, this is like who we're talking about. You're being somebody doesn't like your movie, has an opinion, doesn't make them toxic. I have not been disrespectful to anybody on any of the groups I'm in, any of the forums. I haven't been disrespectful. I respect if you enjoy the movie. I didn't because I like a sense of realism in my Scream movies. Because the reason that I love Scream so much is it could happen in real life. Somebody could put on a costume and have a knife and kill people. That could happen. That has happened in real life. But the fact that you think that, like, and they were the same person. Like, all the other characters, in my opinion, were very different. Like, these two are the same character. They're zany. They're, like, cartoon characters. Like, you had Billy and Stu, right? You know, Billy, who's very cold, who's very collected, who's very smart, you know? Stu is smart too, but I'm saying he's the goofy one. He's the crazy one, you know? Good balance there, right? In this one, Mickey was crazy and loco, and then you had Mrs. Loomis, who was the mastermind, who was the leader, you know, the cold, the like. It was a good balance, in my opinion. And then it was Roman, who was by himself, and then again you had Charlie, the pup, the crazy one, the whatever, and then you had Jill. But like in this one, they're both cartoon characters. They have the same motive. There's no ulterior motive. Like I'm sorry, I can't buy that motive. I can't do it. It's so weak. It's so dumb. Like nobody would kill somebody over fucking movies. Like that would never happen ever. Like it just doesn't make sense. It's not clever. It's not funny. It's just not to me. And trying to beat me over the head with like they forgot to make a good movie. In my opinion, again, this is my opinion. They forgot to make a good movie because they wanted to try to be like clever and meta. Look how meta we are. Look how clever we are. Like, no, it just sucks. And again, Amber's character being like, "Oh, Dewey went out like a bitch." Like, he should have shot you in your head. Like, wouldn't it have been cool if Dewey saved Gail or Sydney, right? And was heroic, and he got killed because of it. Not he got killed by some 5'2" little girl. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't compute to me, right? And I just want to ask the people who really enjoy this movie, where's the innovation in this movie? How is this any different? How is this not just another run of the mill? Two killers again, horrible motive. They were like cartoon characters. There's no sense of realism in this movie whatsoever. Like there's no innovation. That was my number. Well, that was my worst fear. Like, are we gonna have three killers? Like, there's not even a mastermind in this movie. I'm sorry. Both these characters are Looney Tune characters who we met on subreddit. What? 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 Really? Really? It would have been chef's kiss if Stu had came in. If Stu had walked in, right? And or you get like a post credit scene, right? And you see Stu or something that alludes to Stu, right? And you realize, oh, Stu set this up. Stu must have met Amber because Amber lives in his house, in his old house. And then she recruited Richie. Like, that would have been mwah, chef's kiss, right? Or if they had revealed that Sam was one of the killers, or Tara was one of the, like, give me something different, right? And that's, I think this movie's gonna make money. So now to wrap up the video, and again, I've been a lot of negative. I was enjoying the movie, even Dewey's death. Like, I was like, okay, like whatever, I'll just get over it. Until the third act. The third act really fell apart for me. Really messy, rushed, you know, goofy. But anyway, I think this movie's gonna make enough money that we could see a Scream Six, and I'm hoping this is what they do. One or two things. I mean, you have to have a better movie. You got to figure something out. Like, again, is revenge over you? Sure, but it's a better motive than I killed because I want to see a better stab movie. So if you have her mom come in, or her dad, or Montera's dad come in, right, or Amber's parents, or Richie's parents, somebody like that, I'm cool with that. That's fine. But what would be really interesting is if you had Sam be the killer. I don't know who with who else, right? And you had Kirby come in because again, Kirby's alive in this universe. That they already confirmed that, right? You have Kirby come in and take over and be that mentor role, right? And then you have Tara become the main girl because Jenna Ortega's acting is 100 times better than most of her. I'm sorry, there's a fact, right? And I think if you had her take over, because Sam goes crazy and she loses her mind because of her father, right? And because of the scene at the end where she just annihilates Richie, which was gnarly. I'll definitely give it that. She goes local. She goes crazy, right? I think that would be very interesting. That'd be something you could go somewhere with that. Don't be as predictable. Have a much more diverse cast in the fact that we can't, tell who it is. Like, it was pretty obvious who it was. So, but that's my review for Scream 5, guys. I would love anybody who sees this, any of the guys, any of the YouTubers, man. I'd love to sit down and talk with you guys that enjoyed the film and kind of go back and forth. Always gotta be respectful. If you enjoyed the film was subjective. That's why I love it so much. But yeah, let me know what you think and have a good day. Thank you.